Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 96th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Alonso, joined by Nicholas O'Brien. Before I ask you how you're doing, this is a crazy-ass week. Umpires don't know what home runs are. Nolan Arenado is a villager on Minecraft movie night. Juan Soto's having buyer's remorse. Max Fried gets robbed of a no-hitter. What is even going on?
Yeah, what you said. 100%.
The last couple days have just been... They're like a fever dream.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just none of the stuff that happened the last couple days actually happened. Carlos Rodon had a phenomenal start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and you're not shocked Juan Soto has buyer's remorse?
He doesn't. He doesn't. He simply doesn't.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it because it's a non-story. And by the time this comes out, it's going to be a week old. So we're just... The horse is already dead. The horse is being dragged away, and we're still trying to beat it. That's how much it's already beat a dead horse. It's just... We're beating the grass that the horse once laid upon. So we're not going to talk about it because it's stupid in the first place. Exactly. But I'm doing well. How's it going? Shout out, real quick. Shout out Zero Sugar Snapple. Mm-hmm. Sponsored, not sponsored.
Looking at you, Zero Sugar Snapper. Snapper?
Snapper.
Yeah, but on that note, take us away into Queens because I feel like you also want to talk.
I do want to talk, but not about that. Let's go in Queens.
It's out of here! And the Mets win it!
This is Mets Willets Point. Transfer is available to the 7 local train.
Transfer is available to the Q48 bus.
Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to Queens, where the Mets finished this week on a high note. If you talked to me, I don't know, 5 days ago, I'd be very upset. But this Cardinal series saved everything.
That's my favorite thing about baseball, that when the Yankees, if you would have taken the Pirates series, where they won the first two, lost the last, if you would have swapped the last game in the first game, you would have been on cloud 9, but then it left that bitter taste in my mouth, like, really, we came back? Sorry, that's just... It's always a funny thing.
All about timing.
It's all about timing. You could literally win the first two and then lose the last. You'll feel worse about it than if you lost a series but won the last game.
Yeah, 100%.
So
exactly what happened this week. You flipped the Cardinals and Twins series. This is a much different episode. Much different episode. But before we get into the series that happened this week, as always, your injury report brought to you by Triboro MD. We got some pretty big ones. Both negative and positive. I'll start off with the negative. Jose Siri fractured his tibia. We reported last week he fouled off a ball during the Athletics series straight into his leg. After some further tests, it came out that it fractured his tibia, which is obviously in your leg.
I sympathize with my brother. I did that twice. Not fun.
As you know, it's gonna be a while till we see Jose Siri.
Well, he also didn't break it, and then the day after he got out of the cast, break it again.
That's
and
also true.
I don't know if you know this, Nick. Me and Jose Siri are at completely different stratospheres when it comes to athleticism and medical.
I think you can beat Jose Siri. I think you can beat him in a race.
Yeah, because he has the broken leg right now. I still think it would be close.
Yes, right. He'd probably still beat you.
He still probably beats me.
Anywho, Jose Siri probably not going to see him for a while. Fractured tibia, it's going to be months at the very least, and then you tack on
6 to 8 weeks. For me, I was in the cast for 6 to 8 weeks.
Right. So yeah, we'll call it 8 weeks. So call it 2 months. So that
did they say if he needs to get surgery?
June. They didn't. And if they did, I didn't see it. So I'm gonna assume no surgery, which obviously speeds up the process.
I don't think it's that much of a difference.
More. I feel like
maybe a week. For me, it wasn't
like a week or something.
Me, it wasn't a difference. My timeline was the same, regardless of surgery.
Gotcha.
They just had. Well, me it was also different because the first little backstory on me. The first time I broke my leg, it was an ER doctor. He didn't really give a shit, and he healed it sideways. Day after I got out of the cast, they were gonna have to break it again anyways, but I was an idiot and broke it myself while riding my bike. So then they just did surgery and fixed it. So it's a little different, but
Yeah.
They said it like didn't really affect the timeline, getting surgery.
Okay. So we'll call it 8 weeks. Call it end of June, and then a ramp up. Jose Siri is going to be a trade deadline acquisition. Is kind of like my thought process as of right now. It sucks. Obviously, the speed and defense are going to hurt you a ton. Obviously, the bat hasn't. It's been pretty Jose Siri like. So from a offensive perspective, you're probably not missing all that much, but the speed definitely is losing the speed definitely hurts. So no timeline as of yet. Again, we're kind of just spitballing here, but yeah, sucks for Jose Siri. Jose Azocar was called up to replace him, but he'll go back down once I would assume. Yeah, no, definitely once Jeff McNeil's ready, Azocar will go down.
Center fielder
But
Jeff McNeil.
I was just going to say that. Jeff McNeil has been rehabbing. He's been played in a few rehab games. On Sunday with AA Binghamton, he had a 4-for-4 game, played second base, but like Justin mentioned, he has been playing center field. He's played center field once or twice in the majors. I remember I believe it was 2023, he was in center field when I was at a game. So I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. But look, is Jeff McNeil going to be a good center fielder? Probably not. Is he going to be average? Probably. The arm is going to kill you. He doesn't have the greatest arm, but
It's the speed
the
I
guy-
worry about.
yeah, I mean,
Because I feel
It's
like
probably
you
not
want to
the
be in like
greatest
70 to
defensive
75th percentile sprint speed to be a center fielder. Like I feel that maybe like a minimum, but then again, sprint
That's
speed
fair.
kind of you can make up for it with jumps. Him being an infielder obviously has that better reaction time, or like being
Yeah.
a primary infielder has faster reaction time. So definitely
Look,
going to be pretty interesting. But
as
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for just all of his outs above average in the outfield.
okay,
He has been negative only twice, which was both in 2019 in left field and right field. Besides that, +1, +1, +1, 0, +1, 0, +1, +1, 0. So he's been basically average as an outfielder. Obviously, center field is a little different, but
and you also one of the things that we talked about a lot during the offseason is how Siri was going to take a lot of the load off Soto's plate.
Soto
Now you're
You're right,
also
yeah.
kind of going into
kind of
that
getting that
where-
into as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing too is this tells me that they want Jeff McNeil to play center field to give them options and to give them more runway with not only Acuna, but I still believe they still want runway for Beatty to get some playing time. Because obviously you get McNeil in center, opens up second base for one of those two guys. Acuna is also getting reps in center field as well. So Acuna can play center field, McNeil can play center field, Taylor can, obviously he's probably going to be, call it 45% of the center field playing time is going to go to Taylor. And then the rest will be, I'm sure Brandon Nimmo is going to get a day. McNeil's going to play there. Sometime Acuna is going to get a start there. But him getting reps in center field is A, just keeping options open, and B, I truly think this is just to give more runway for Beatty and Acuna. I don't know if you would disagree. It looks
No,
like you disagree.
it's true. No, I'm laughing because Brett Beatty is the biggest. Like he gains the most from Siri going down.
Yes, absolutely. He is the biggest injury merchant between
Yeah.
him and McGill.
Dude,
Him
dude.
and Tyler McGill.
To me,
Or
Brett
injury
Beatty is
merchants.
almost getting to the point. I know he had like a couple RBIs, a couple of hits over the week. He's almost getting to family dog territory.
Family dog.
Where it's like, buddy, you've had a good run. We're good.
No, honestly.
He's getting there.
look, He's
He's
yeah.
really close.
he had a good week. We'll talk about him later. He had a good week.
But he's in family dog territory.
He is in family dog territory. He probably should have been gone a month ago. But regardless, right? McNeil's getting time in center field. Acuna is probably going to get time in center field as well. Tyrone Taylor is going to be your primary center fielder for majority of the games. But that's all I had on Jose Siri in center field. Next, we got Francisco Alvarez, who's also been rehabbing just like McNeil. He's looked good. He's caught back-to-back 9-inning games, I believe. He's DH'd. It sounds like, because originally it sounded like he might be activated for the Phillies series that's coming up on Monday, but instead it sounds like both him and McNeil are going to get another week in rehab, or maybe another half week. So you might see them on the road after the Phillies instead.
Were you planning on
And
talking
then-
about the catching situation when he gets back?
Not really,
Okay.
but it's. I mean,
I was
to
gonna
be
say 'cause
fair, it is a conversation. It's a more of a conversation than everyone probably would have thought.
I'm
when
not
he
even
went
thinking
down.
for the bat, but dude, look how insane this pitching staff has been. With
That's
Torrance
fair. You
behind
know
the
what?
plate.
That's something
Alvarez,
I honestly.
Alvarez,
That is something I fail to think about. That is something you
I
always talk
always
about.
think
That I
about it.
fail to think.
I
about.
always
Yeah.
think about that. Alvarez, we saw how good he was last year for the Mets behind the dish. This Mets pitching staff, overall starters and relievers, has overperformed. No one's going to disagree with that. They have overperformed.
Mhm.
How much of that is guys just being better? How much of that is Torrance? We don't know. So I wouldn't be surprised if, especially in the beginning, it's a 50-50 split. Or even if it's 60-40 with Torrance getting a little bit of a hand up just because they don't want to rush Alvarez back. Or even if Alvarez gets extra time playing in the minors and rehabbing just to make sure he's 100%.
Yeah, I think, especially that last part, I do think they're more comfortable letting Alvarez really get his timing down before bringing him up because of how well Torrens has been doing. And again, I will also shout out Hayden Sanker because he's been below average at the plate, but he's not been, like black hole level. Like
He's kind of like
instant out.
Ashioka.
Yeah,
Good
Fair enough.
defensive backup catcher.
yeah, he's been a perfect backup to
He's
Luis
kind of like
Torrens.
Ashioka.
Yeah. So, honestly, I do think it could be a 50-50 when he gets back. Or at the very least, they will slow play Alvarez kind of taking the primary catcher. Maybe they'll flip-flop every day, or, they'll just basically do matchup-based things like that.
Certain guys get
Excuse me.
certain pitchers get certain catchers.
Right. I'm sure he'll always catch an Edwin Diaz outing. Always. Like, things like that. I think they'll do a lot more with it than, again, I think people would have thought. But good point to that. And then lastly, for your injuries, Mark Vientos left Saturday's game early and did not play Sunday's game with groin discomfort. Sounds like it's a minimal thing. Vientos himself just made it sound like it was cramping, so he needs to eat 3 bananas, specifically 3 bananas.
Garrett Cole,
But-
that shit.
Honestly. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term issue, so I'm not worried, but just thought I would mention it.
I thought you said
So-
Marte at first. I was like, oh boy, here we go again.
Oh my! If it was Marte,
Dude, if it was Marte, he's
Cooked.
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 That's why if you saw me make like a face,
Yeah,
because for whatever reason I thought Marte. When you said groin, I just thought Marte.
yeah,
Then you
Fair
said
enough.
Vientos, I was like, oh, all right, never mind.
yeah. But that's all I got there. And let's talk about the series in this past week. So the series in Minnesota went as poorly as it probably could have gone, besides a sweep, I guess. It was a bad series. They played some of their worst baseball thus far from a fundamental standpoint. It was really bad. The runners of scoring position issues were prominent. This team was in the game at all times. It's not like they kind of just fell over and let the Twins walk over them, but they had multiple opportunities they did not cash in. Tyler McGill had his second, I guess, start against the Twins. He didn't do too well, but a Lindor error kind of opened the floodgates for him there, so I'll give him that much. Which Lindor has been sketchy defensively. I mean, he still grades out fantastic, but I believe he has 4 errors already. And errors are kind of meh to begin with. But watching Lindor, obviously, those were certainly errors. Like, just the ball ate him up, didn't make a good transfer, didn't, bad play throughout. So he's only 70th percentile in outs above average, which obviously is not what you expect from Francisco Lindor. But I'm not too worried about it. It's just definitely odd to see so early him kind of struggle defensively when that's something we're really not used to seeing.
Still a pretty good at a premier defensive position, but not to the level. It's almost like Juan Soto with a bat. You get what I mean? Where he's like pretty above average. Bar. But yeah,
it's such a high bar that him being above average is kind of like, all right,
disappointing.
What's wrong? But yeah, Tyler McGill, like I mentioned, he went 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 2 of them earned, only 3 strikeouts. Max Kranick looked human as well. He gave up his first 2 runs of the season. And then the offense just didn't really do anything. 0 for 4 from his scoring position, 7 men left on base. And then Lindor struck out as the, I believe, it was either go-ahead or tying run at the plate. But for the third game, Griffin Canning was scratched due to an illness, so the Mets called up Justin Hagenman. They were going to call up a 6th starter at one point this week. It so happened that Canning was sick, so they inserted the 6th starter here. Justin Hagenman actually pitched really well. It sucks because the Mets lost this game because he was amazing. He went 3 1/3, only allowed 1 run, which came on an inherited runner scoring. Like, this guy did not have a good start at AAA, and it's one of those guys you see being called up, and the whole fan base is like, it's over. We already lost, all that stuff. But now, after seeing him, this is a guy that if you see him that he needs to start a game, you're probably like, okay.
Cody Poteet.
No, literally. Like, he could be the Cody Poteet, which is kind of like, all right, he'll give you 3-4 innings, maybe 5 innings on a good day, a run or 2, and he'll be solid. But the biggest story of this game, which again is kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but we gotta talk about it, is Justin. I don't know if you saw this. I would be shocked if you didn't. Jose Butto arguing with the first base umpire while the ball is still live. So quickly paint the picture. Runners on second. Little chopper up first base. Pete Alonso fields it, throws it over to Butto. Runner is called safe when he was clearly out. Jose Butto then proceeds to argue with the first base umpire. And it's not like egregious. It's for 2 seconds, kind of like the what the fuck? And then, oh shit, turns around, runner scored from second. I will not say it's not as bad as David Cohn when he did it all those years ago. But obviously just something that just can't happen.
Who was the runner on second?
I think it was Ryan Jeffers, if I remember. So a catcher.
I think that kind of helps Butto's case.
Why? Because
if it's like a guy that's like
score,
if it's a guy that's like insanely fast, then it's like, okay, dude, you gotta pay attention. Like, that guy's on the bases, like, you gotta watch out. But Ryan Jeffers, like,
I guess you're not really thinking about it.
A little, like, I'm talking like this much. It helps his case.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I get what you mean. But
you gotta
yeah, that just can't happen.
Know.
And the worst part is they used their challenge earlier. They lost it. They couldn't challenge this play when it was a clearly just botched call. Like, I'll give Butto that much because he's right. He was safe, and I'm going to sneeze. So he's right. There's no kind of cutting around that. Jose Butto was right. It was a botched call, but again, it can't happen. Like, I understand it, completely understand it. I'd probably do the same, if not worse, if I was in his position. It just can't happen. And the Mets lost by 1 run. Like, obviously, law of predetermined outcomes, all that stuff, but at the end of the day, that runner scored and the Mets lost by 1 run. So that was just like the epitome of a getaway game and a getaway day, and just everything that could go wrong went wrong. The Mets dropped the series and against a Twins team that they really should have beat. Because the Twins are
second worst team in the AL Central, and it's only because the White Sox are Historically bad.
historically bad. Yeah, it's insane how this Twins team just continues to
Pablo
suck.
Lopez, buddy, you're going somewhere.
You're going somewhere. It's not Minnesota. I'll tell you that much. So it's just a bad series, left a bad taste in your mouth. And then you go to the Cardinals, who are having a solid start to the season. Not fantastic, but the offense is definitely a plus, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. 4-game set at Citi Field. And the Mets completely dominate this series. Because I looked it up before we were recording. The Mets trailed for 4 innings the entire series. 4 games. What's that quick math? 36 innings.
I was
They
gonna say an inning a
trailed
game.
for 4. Yeah, they trailed for 4. That was it. They completely dominated the Cardinals, a team they should beat, a team they're better than. This was just one of those series where, it's a good team meets team that's worse than them, and they beat them. Like, point blank.
Team that's good is angry about previous series, needs to get anger out.
Yeah, essentially. And it was great. Griffin Canning looked fantastic. He had a 32 whiff percentage on his fastball, and that was a lot in part to pitching backwards. So obviously, usually when you pitch, you start with the fastball, and then you kind of end with the breaking stuff, the off speed, all that. Griffin Canning started with a lot of the off speed, the breaking stuff, his slider and changeup in particular, and kind of ended things with his fastball. He threw the fastball 37.5% of the time in 0-2 counts, 66.7% of the time in 1-2 counts. His fastball is not good. It is not a good pitch when you look at stuff models from a movement perspective. It's not a good pitch. To see him get this many whiffs on the fastball and to get so many strikeouts on the fastball was really cool to see. And it was just like, we talk a lot about, pitching and throwing. Like, Griffin Canning pitched this game. He looked fantastic and ended his night with 8 strikeouts. And then the bullpen took it from there. It was just magnificent. Another big part of the series, Mark Vientos looked much better. Hit his first home run of the season. Brett Beatty hit a double, I believe, or something like, or that was either game 1 or game 2. But it was just a much needed series after that Twins loss. David Peterson looked good as well. Lindor hits his 250th career home run as his first Mets walk-off home run, which I was shocked when the broadcast said that was his first walk-off home run as a Met, because this is going to year 5, I think, right? 21, 22.
And he has a flair for the
25.
dramatic with home runs.
Oh my God.
He has always been dramatic when it comes to home runs.
That bat drop. Amazing. Just
Santa
it looked nice.
Maria.
A swing and a drive. But
Still won
it was
that
just a good series. It was just a good series all around. The offense had clutch hitting. The pitching was great. Excuse me. Shout out Huascar Brazoban. He got the save opportunity on Friday. He blew the save, tied the game before Lindor's walk-off home run, but he gave up the game-tying home run and then struck out the next 3 batters. Like, that's some serious kind of hunkering down and getting the job done.
Now, do you think Francisco Lindor said, yo, give up a home run? Just trust me, bro.
I got this.
You're feeling. Just trust me, bro. Trust me, bro.
Trust. It was a hanging changeup, so I mean, hey, you never know. But
Sources,
it was just a good
trust
series. Me, bro. Sources, trust me. Kodai Senga, fantastic. He looked great. 5 2/3. Lots of soft contact. That's been like the name of the game the past 2 starts, but I think struck out like 4 batters, but he looked good. He would have finished the 6th if his pitch count didn't kind of inflate just some long at bats there. But I mean, it was just, I cannot express how like uplifting and kind of relaxing this series was. again, against a team that the Mets are better than. So Mets obviously just dominated this series, and there's no way around that. Now, the biggest story of the week is we got some signs of life. We got some signs of life from three guys who kind of needed to show a little something. That's Beatty, Vientos, and Luis Angel Acuna. Beatty, his past 7 games, is hitting .304 for 360 on base, a .478 slug. Acuna, his past 15 games, is hitting .324, 390 of a .459 slugging, and has been even better in his past 7 games. I want to touch on Acuna quick, or first.
Isn't it like 400 in his last 9?
Something like that. Like, kid's been on fire, and I am slowly falling in love with this guy. Just he's fast. Like, the speed kills. The defense is solid.
His brother
Even if
wants
he's
out of
not-
Atlanta, so you get
His
both
brother
the brothers.
hates Atlanta. Yeah. To your point, real quick. Yeah, last 7 games, hitting .412, 474 on base, 588 slugging.
The on base is the most impressive part to me.
No, me too. Like, I don't care. I do not care if he's slugging. If he gets singles, they're basically doubles if he steals a base. But the 474 on base past 7 games is amazing. And you kind of saw in the Twin series Acuna kind of taking the majority of playing time at second base. It kind of, again, you talked to me 5 days ago, I think Brett Beatty's done and he's cut and he's gone, right? Because literally, look at the flowers. But Acuna kind of took over the starting role in Minnesota. But Beatty kind of found his way into games, not in the Cardinal series and at the end of the Minnesota series as well. So, look, if these two guys hit, it is a very good problem to have, right? Beatty's defense has been good at second base, even better at third base. Beatty is somebody I can see becoming like a poor man's utility guy. Like, he's not really a utility guy, but you can use him as one if his bat plays. But yeah, I mean, these two guys have been hitting this week, and it's a sight for sore eyes after a slow start to the season. I mean, Acuna for the year is now hitting 289 for 760 OPS. I mean,
that doesn't
that's
factor
great.
in speed. That doesn't factor in defense. Because it could be
Right.
a 760 OPS, but that slugging's not taking account for him hitting a single that becomes a double because of a stolen base.
Right. So, and the biggest thing is he's also not striking out a ton. He's striking out less than 20% of the time, taking a walk almost 11% of the time. He chases a little about average. Excuse me. And then he doesn't whiff a ton. And again,
If
the
Acuna's
sprint
a
speed.
league average chaser, that is huge. Based off like the
Absolutely.
profile, that is massive.
Yeah. So I'm just super excited to see both of these guys kind of hit a little bit. Beatty had a rough game on Sunday, but I don't think it's, I think he bought himself another week with kind of his past few games. But moving on to Vientos, his past 7 games, 269, 296 on base. Obviously, wish that was a little higher. 577 slugging. Obviously, the on base needs work. That's without a doubt. But he's looked better overall. He's taking more at bats. He's taking his walks. He hit his first 2 home runs against the Cardinals. So, and his second home run, also I might add, was like above the strike zone, like a foot above the strike zone. He kind of just clocked it.
You
But-
cannot be wanting 2 more different things from 2 guys than Acuna and Vientos, and you're getting exactly what like if their profiles switched the other way, you'd be like, okay, but you
It's
you
not
know what I
really was
mean?
looking for. Yeah, but it's just good to see these guys kind of come into their own a little bit, and obviously it helps when you contribute to the team and all that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do when Jeff McNeil comes back, because I think the simple answer is you send down Jose Azocar, right? You carry McNeil, Beatty, and Acuna. The playing time is where it gets interesting, right? Because sure, you play McNeil in center, whatever, but then you're probably playing 2 out of the 3 at a time. But you could also only be playing 1 at a time because, obviously you have, if Tyrone Taylor's in center field, only 1 spot for second base, whatever. But the other thing too is if Brandon Nimmo kind of continues to struggle a little or kind of not really hit his stride just yet, you could easily put Jeff McNeil in left field and have Nimmo sit. I don't think Nimmo's got an off day yet, so I'm sure once McNeil's back, we might be seeing a little more of management from Nimmo, or at least maybe
Half
until he
days.
shows, and also until he shows like a little more on the offensive side, especially if he continues to hit in the middle of the order and not really produce. So it's a super interesting decision the Mets have to make. And Justin, if you were in the shoes, kind of how would you kind of shake out that trio between McNeil, Acuna, and Beatty? It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a
You
loaded
said
question.
Nimmo, Acuna, Beatty, correct?
McNeil, Acuna, Beatty. Once McNeil's
okay.
back, kind of how would you shake that out? I guess it kind of Nimmo too.
Because I was gonna say with Nimmo is, and I no information when I have this, but we talked about how much plantar fasciitis is a nagging injury.
Yeah.
What if that could be part of the reason why he hasn't been that good offensively?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Fair.
So I think that would be something that's definitely interesting to see. Like maybe, like you said, he gets a couple days off. I don't know, honestly, because I do think that they will, and I may not agree with this, but they'll give Beatty a little bit more runway, make Acuna more the kind of utility guy, and if Beatty doesn't show anything for the next week or two, that, or like he doesn't sustain it for another week or two, then it's like goodbye. Just because with Acuna, you kind of know what you have, and he has more shots. But Beatty's like, no, this is your last shot, no matter what. You either prove it or you're gone. So I could see that. It just depends how they want to go with it if they haven't made up their mind on Beatty yet.
Yeah, I'm glad you said they kind of giving Beatty a little more runway, because I also think that's what they're trying to do. I think they have in their mind, they have a spot for Acuna. They know how they want to use Acuna.
Yeah.
Right? Between pinch running, defensive replacement, whatever. When it comes to Beatty, he hasn't really filled out a role yet. You're kind of just giving him starts, kind of seeing what is he going to provide. And as of right now, it hasn't been much.
Acuna
right?
could be a horrendous hitter. He still has a lot of value on this team. Brett Beatty could be a horrendous hitter, and he will be on LinkedIn.
Yeah. You're right, because again, Acuna has the speed, the defensive replacement, all that. Acuna can play second, shortstop, which they don't have a backup shortstop on the roster. He's had third base reps in spring training. He's taking center field reps right now. So he can kind of take over the utility man spot. When Beatty, you're playing him at second or third, which at the end of the day isn't that valuable when you have someone like Acuna. So to your point, I agree. I think they're giving Beatty as much of a runway as they possibly can without it negatively affecting the team. I think once it starts kind of biting the team in the ass is when Beatty's time is done. But up until that point, I think you're going to see a lot more Brett Beatty until, I don't know, middle of May, maybe like Memorial Day. That's usually kind of like the indicator in the baseball world. Memorial Day.
100 plate appearances, Memorial Day, kind of
right.
like those are, I feel like, the two big ones.
Yeah, like benchmarks. I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be super interesting. But they both look good, and I hope that they make it a very hard decision at the very least. Moving on to Juan Soto, we'll talk about his play. Forget about
His
all
comments?
that nonsense.
Oh,
All that nonsense. He looked better
locker room
in the
cancer.
Cardinal series. Man, I'm gonna jump through this camera and beat the shit out of you. He's looked better. The Mets fans gave him a standing ovation. That was cute. That was nice. Good for him. He hit 2 home runs in Minnesota, and then he went 5 for 13 with 3 walks versus St. Louis. After Sunday's game, he mentioned that he thinks he kind of found something with the swing. So we'll see how this week goes. But you could tell he's getting a little more comfortable. I feel like he's taking better at bats. I truly think he's pressing, which, I mean, look,
Makes sense.
new team, biggest contract in the history of professional sports. Everybody is looking at you. Everybody.
Especially because you pissed
So-
off the Yankees too.
The
So you
other
pissed off a
half
huge market.
of the
Yeah.
city, that you live in. So, look, I think I said it in another episode, and I'll say it again. I will not be shocked if Juan Soto has a quote-unquote down year in his first year of the Mets. Because as of right now, when Juan Soto is struggling, this is a slumping Juan Soto, we're calling it, right? He has a 125 WRC plus. His on-base percentage is 375. That's an above-average bat. That's a guy on top of your lineup that's getting on base nearly 40% of the time.
That's a generous round.
It's a generous, yes,
That's a
absolutely.
generous round.
I'm 37.4% of the time.
I'd give you 38.
38, 40, whatever. But he is not a detriment to the team. Is he carrying as much as he could? No.
No.
But it's not like he's dragging the team down.
I will say, regardless of controversy caused by the comments, there could be something to it in the sense of you look at how often he is pitched outside of the zone this year versus last year, where he kind of got used to being that like more aggressive, used to seeing the ball more one way, so now he just has to adapt to it. So regardless of the controversy caused by the comments, there may be something where
He had
was
a
just,
point.
He may have just been, yeah. Regardless of how you want to take them, he had a point of saying he was pitched too differently last year, and he wasn't ready to have such a drastic swing in the way that he's been. There was a stat that I think SNY showed where it was like last year in 3-ball counts, he saw like a ball in zone 43% of the time, and this year it's like 28.
Right.
So it's like one of those things that like when he has 3 balls, like no one's just gonna pitch to him, just like in the dirt.
Yeah.
And last year was like 43% of the time. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge difference, but he's seeing balls in the zone nearly 45% of the time instead of 47. He is, let's see, he's getting meatballs, which is what you think it is, 7% of the time last year, 5.7% of the time this year. So, look, he has a slight point, right? He's swinging less. He's making more contact in the zone, but whatever. He's swinging less in the zone again. There is a slight difference, and look, Aaron Judge is the best hitter in baseball. Having that behind you helps. Do I think it helps as much as people make it seem to be? No. But at the end of the day, he does have a bit of a point, and I think you're kind of starting to see him get over that. Because, again, if you want to go back to last year with the Yankees, it was Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. If those two guys didn't do anything, the Yankees didn't do anything. This Mets team, on the other hand, Lindor is off to a better start than his usual slow starts, right? Pete Alonso looks completely locked in. We know Brandon Nimmo is struggling, but he gets his hits in a few times. Luis Torrens has been better. I think the overall construction of the lineup is better to the fact that Juan Soto doesn't need to do absolutely everything if he fails. again, he could take his walk and then come around when Pete Alonso hits a home run or a double, which we saw during this Cardinals series. So, look, at the end of the day, he is struggling to Juan Soto standards, but it's not.
He's a Hall of Famer to Brett Beatty standards.
Yeah. It's not as bad of a detriment to the team as people make it seem to be. Now, last thing I'll talk about quickly is mention him a few times. Brandon Nimmo hitting cleanup. He just looks uncomfortable at cleanup. He had some pretty bad at bats in Minnesota, and to the whole pitch differently thing, he is getting pitched differently, like a huge amount. He is seeing the most pitches in the zone by far for his career. He's seeing, where is it?
You may think like, oh, that's a good thing for a hitter, but for a guy like him, I feel like you almost want him not to see that many pitches in the zone. As weird as it is to say, but just because of his skill set.
Up until this point, he's been a on-base guy. Obviously, the past couple of years,
Poor man's Juan Soto.
Go for slugging. Yeah. He is seeing pitches in the zone. What's this? Like 5-6% more than the next highest time in his career. Like right now, it's 55.8. The next highest was in 2021, which was 52.9.
Which was 4 years ago. Yeah. Jesus
right.
Fucking Christ.
He is now swinging more in the zone, an extra 4% of the time. Because he has to, because he's seeing more pitches in the zone. I do think he's being a little more aggressive, not only because he's being pitched to more aggressively, but because in the mindset of a cleanup hitter, you're trying to drive in runs at the end of the day. So I think he's just trying to be too aggressive when in the past, even though he's been patient, the patience is his aggression, if that makes sense. He's a better hitter the more he kind of waits for his pitch and works the count. Because last year he had say what you want about his entire year, but he was one of the best hitters with runners in scoring position, period. So I think he just kind of needs to get back to himself, stay within himself, and we'll see, we'll see improvement there. But I will say, if Brandon Nimmo and Mark Vientos are both hitting, I'd probably still want to see Vientos in the cleanup spot over Brandon Nimmo. But that being said, that's all I had. So we'll look ahead real quick to this week. The Mets have the Phillies coming into town for a 3-game set Monday through Wednesday. That's going to be a fun series. It is the first National League East opponent the Mets play that is not the Marlins, who they've already played twice. The Phillies.
Shout out to the Marlins, by the way, calling up Agustin Ramirez, Yankee legend.
Yeah. Up until this point, the Phillies are like the only, I guess, challenger to the division.
Have we even talked about the Braves on here?
Barely. I mean, we can touch on them quick. And they're 8-13, and I will say I do not expect them to be this bad, for the whole season. They're going to go on a run. They're going to get back to a normalcy. It's just going to be much harder. But again, up until right now, the Phillies are like the only challenger to the division for the Mets, and we kind of saw it last year, where every game counts. They made the playoffs by 1 game, all that.
Especially with the bigger schedule. You only have 13 games against them.
Right, you have less games against them. Win the series. Like, again, it's April. I'm not trying to be like all, but
it's important.
This
no
is
game 163 anymore. You can't tie.
Right, this is very important. I'm not calling it. It's not a mathematical must-win, of course, but this is a series that can help the Mets down the line.
Very important.
If they win. With that being said, they are facing the Phillies' best 2 pitchers, and then Aaron Nola, who's just been not great who is throwing 90
It's
mile
the
an
down
hour
year. It's the
fastballs.
Aaron down year.
It is the Aaron Nola down year. You're right. I forgot about him, about his flip
It's flip
flops.
flop, yeah.
But yeah, Aaron Nola has not been good. He has given no less than 2 runs in an outing. Last time out against the Giants, he gave up 6 runs in 5 1/3 innings. After that, the Mets have Christopher Sanchez, who's been amazing. He's disgusting, and I hate it. And then old friend Zach Wheeler. The Mets will be throwing out Tyler McGill, Griffin Canning, and David Peterson in this series.
Three best.
So pitching matchup obviously goes towards the Phillies. I think winning game 1 against Nola is going to be very important because Sanchez and Wheeler are no joke. They are elite of the elite. Even if you don't know who Christopher Sanchez is, you will very soon. You will. But after that, you get a little bit of a breather. With I hate when they do this, a weird 4-game set that goes into Monday.
What?
So from Friday, I hate it. From Friday to Monday, they go into Washington. Probables aren't out right now, but Washington's been sneakily solid. Their pitching is good. Mackenzie Gore is amazing. James Wood. What's more to say about James Wood? He's insane.
We both got robbed.
Both got robbed of a Rookie of the Year pick. Dylan Cruz is showing signs of life.
Yes!
Then Nathaniel
Well,
Lau
rookie
solid.
suck. He's crying. We're so back.
If we just go, wow, I did not realize how bad Josh Bell has been. Jeez.
Oh my God,
63,
dude, he had that 1 year in Pittsburgh and then just
That was it. But
finished
yeah,
third in the MVP.
this is a very pitching heavy team. Mackenzie Gore, excellent. Jake Irving, solid.
Doesn't
Mitchell
Mackenzie Gore lead
Parker's-
the league in strikeouts?
He might.
I'm pretty sure. I saw
honestly
that
don't
stat, but he's
I wouldn't
incredible.
be shocked. But yeah, this national teams is not terrible. But if we go based off of Fangraphs projections, you get Jake Irving, Brad Lord, who's a prospect they called up pretty recently, Mitchell Parker, and then old friend Trevor Williams. So again, Nationals team that you're better than, team that you should win against. But this Phillies series should be pretty fun. But that's all I had. If you wanted to add anything else for the Mets before you take us away.
You got the Juan Soto traded people versus Juan Soto.
Yeah, basically.
A team full of players that were traded for Juan Soto.
Yeah, half the team fucking
So.
from Juan Soto. But if you got nothing else, go ahead, take us away.
Let's go into the Bronx.
That one is drilled deep to right field. There it goes. See ya. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone.
This is 161st Street, Yankee Stadium. Transfer is available to the B and D trains.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Bronx, where the Yankees, they went 6-1. But all that you hear about is a bunch of bullshit going on.
It's been an interesting week.
Dude, the last 3 games have been bullshit.
Yeah, the last 3 games have been interesting.
Crazy. But before we get into that, your injury update brought to you by Triboro MD, because you got a lot that happened here. So, Ben Rice, he is a part of the bullshit that happened. He got hit by a pitch, got hit on his left elbow. It looks like it hit him right in the funny bone, and he was in a lot of pain. Everything came back negative. All the imaging came back negative. Thank you, Jesus fucking Christ. And yeah, Boone said that he didn't want to play him today, but based off the game, he may have. To me, that just sounds like gamesmanship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think there was a shot in hell he was going to play this game. But yeah, hopefully he's okay, because Jesus Christ, they need him to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think this is no information. I'd probably bet he sits tomorrow too. And then
even if it's just a bone bruise, that can take a while to just
especially in your funny bone
just
too,
to
and
feel okay.
Yeah, because he said he's regained movement in it too.
Right.
So I definitely bet he gets like another day or two off. But
Yeah.
he should be fine. Thank you, Jesus Christ.
Long term,
Yeah.
I think we dodged a bullet.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because again, the funny bone, that's kind of one of those areas that unless it like hits the elbow the wrong way, I feel like that's always just more. I don't want to say pain tolerance, but it's gonna be a lot more painful than it is damaging.
Yeah.
But
I
Mark
agree.
Stroman has begun to play catch on Friday. You could stop that, buddy.
You can stop. It's all right.
You could stop. Jonathan
Okay.
Loizaga threw a bullpen today. He'll throw at least one more, and then he'll begin a rehab assignment. Pretty good.
Yay.
Yay. I like to see that.
Can't wait for Johnny Lasagna to come back.
I know. Really excited for that. But on the same line as the Marcus Stroman thing, DJ LeMahieu will begin a rehab assignment Tuesday. No, you don't.
It's all right.
No, you don't have to. DJ. You have a lovely wife. You got some lovely kids. I think it would be very good for
They miss you.
for us to pay you while you spend time with them. Trust us,
DJ.
DJ.
Relax. We got Pablo Reyes. We don't need you.
You stole a base the other day, but DJ. It's for your bet. Come on, we don't want to embarrass you. You don't want to embarrass yourself. You don't want to bring your career averages down. Just it's for the better, DJ.
It's for the best.
But Jesus Christ,
It's not you, it's me.
I still have to talk about DJ LeMahieu.
No, you don't.
Jay Cousins threw off a mound Thursday. He's still a good a ways away. He was put on the 60-day IL, just worth noting. Luis Heel was pushed back 10 days. That was as of a couple of days ago. I don't know how you say what your thoughts are, but as a Yankee fan, thank you. Because there have been times in the past where, so what happened just is a doctor looked back at the MRI before, he's like, wait, before we start throwing, I just want to look at how it is right now. So you know what? It's good. I just want to see a little bit more. That's what they did not do with Luis Severino. I don't know if you know how that ended up, but he ended up getting 1 million surgeries, had a string of injuries over a couple of years, had a bunch of setbacks. So I'm really happy that he got pushed back rather than them having to shut him down, because if he got shut down, that's it for the year.
Yeah.
Like at this point, if he would have gotten shut down for like a month, I think he may pitch in late September.
Yeah. I think obviously if the lat is extremely tricky, any soft muscle, soft tissue, like it's going to be tricky, and you want it to be 100%.
So I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, you already saw with Sean Manaea. He was already shut down for an extra week or 2 weeks, whatever it was. So make sure it's 100%. Like this rotation desperately needs him, but it not to the point where you need to rush
Kill
him
him.
back. Yeah, exactly. So it sucks for the player, obviously, because I'm sure he wants to get back as soon as possible. But for long term, it might be a good thing.
I think, and also he won't pitch as much this year, so he won't put as much on his arm. He won't be as fatigued going into playoffs, because that was the thing we talked about a lot last year.
Yeah,
but just us kind of being concerned about how many innings he was pitching. So that could also help him, hopefully. But then the last one, Clayton Beater began a rehab assignment today. Did you see the numbers that were from it?
No, I did not.
He faced 4 batters, struck out 4 of them, and had 7 whiffs. He also added a changeup, and TJ stats his stuff loss model. I don't have it up right now, but he had a tweet about it, and he's very conservative when it comes to like the stuff plus. Like there's nothing really that's like that crazy. I believe the fastball and changeup were about 115 and the slider was about 110.
It's really good.
Let me tell you this.
That's money.
Better than Carlos Carrasco.
Well,
Clayton Beater's most likely going to be a bullpen guy. He's most likely going to be a bullpen guy when he is ready, but he also is a guy that has started in the past. So, Carlos, bye-bye. But
yeah, maybe.
Anyways.
I do wonder what their plan is for him. Like you
Beater
said, probably
or Carrasco?
Bullpen. Beater.
Okay.
Like probably bullpen, but given the state of the rotation, do you keep him on a rehab assignment longer and stretch him out?
It's weird because they're stretching out what's his face, Hedrick.
Okay.
So it's like, which honestly I'm not sure I agree with. But he I forget what it was, but he added more break to his fastball and added a fourth pitch.
Okay.
So that's probably part of the reason why. But I do think Beater probably just takes Yanders Gomez's spot. Because Gomez gave up the home run to Jonathan Aranda, on Saturday's game. So thank God I was at Hibachi when that happened, because I would have crashed out if I saw that inning live, the 9th and 10th inning. But yeah, I think he probably just takes Gomez's spot because Gomez has not been good. I loved Gomez. I love the stuff, but he just doesn't have it. And if you DFA him, honestly, would not be surprised if no one picks him up. A team may pick him up just based off trade stuff, whatever, but I wouldn't be surprised if... Go on.
I mean, Yarbrough probably goes before him, no?
I don't know.
Really?
Because they signed Yarbrough, they didn't sign Gomez.
Gotcha.
Like, to me, it's almost a thing if they went out of their way to get Yarbrough, and he is that, like, 3-4 inning guy.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean? And I feel like if you cut Yarbrough, a team is probably going to pick him up. There's a higher chance of a team picking up Yarbrough just based off experience than Gomez.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So, but getting into the actual games themselves, so the Kansas City series, the Yankees scored 4 runs in every single one of these games. Game 1 was Carlos Carrasco versus Seth Lugo. First inning, you were shitting your pants. He walked 2 out of the first 3 hitters. But then he went on to retire 14 out of the next 15, with the only run that he gave up being a solo shot to Bobby Witt in 5 innings. Okay. I have a new rule with Carlos Carrasco. I will be happy if his earned runs, or what I expect is his earned runs to be 1 less than the innings he pitches. That is my expectations of Carlos Carrasco.
That's probably fair.
So going 5 with only 1 run, hell yeah. And the only run was a Bobby Witt home run. Fuck yeah. But then the offense.
That Royals offense is also.
Yeah, but the one guy that you get, they have 4 guys, and even then India hasn't really been hitting for the last couple of weeks. Yeah,
India hasn't. Pasquantino hasn't. I don't know if Perez hasn't, but everyone else.
2022 Yankees. Bobby Witt is Aaron Judge on that, but
yeah, basically.
The Yankees offense was dead, and then in the 4th inning, Aaron Judge. I'm so used to saying Aaron Judge. Jazz hit a home run. Then in the 5th inning, Grisham hit a solo home run. Ben Rice hit a solo home run. Wells hit a solo home run. And all of those were off Seth Lugo. And there was a crazy stat that, like, Seth Lugo only gave up, like, 2 home runs to lefties last year. Something crazy. And they hit 4 off him. So,
good.
Is that something? Who knows? But, little tidbit. Game 2 was Michael Wacha versus Max Fried. Yankees won that one 4-2. Fried was Max Fried.
Money.
6 2/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. Just awesome. I've talked a lot about how I love his mental fortitude. In the 5th inning, single lead off the inning, and then he was 3-0 on the 9-hitter. He came back on the 3-0 count to strike the guy out, and they got the next 2 guys out. That's what I love about Max Fried.
Mm-hmm.
That he won't, because even Garrett Cole, like, as much as I love, there would be times where Garrett Cole could get in his head. Yeah. It doesn't seem like Max Fried you could get in his head, and I love that.
Yeah.
So, but then you just had like a 6th inning where Judge base hit, then Belly and Goldie both striked out. Jazz walked, Volpe walked, then pull out Michael Wacha, Austin Wells walk, and then the big one. The big kahuna against a lefty. Jason Dominguez, bases clearing, double down the line to make it a 4-2 game from the right side. I was always a fan of let Dominguez switch hit. A lot of people have kind of been going up against that. His numbers in the minor leagues are not good from the right side. They are not good. I wouldn't hate if they almost do a Tommy Edman, or against certain pitchers, they let him hit from the left side. Obviously, that's phenomenal to see, though. To see him be able to get that hit from the right side. Knocked out his contact lens on the swing. So people are calling him Jason Chicken Little.
Yeah, because the helmet fell
Because
like
the
on
helmet
top in
falling
his
off.
face.
Dude, I swear to God, he's the goofiest looking guy sometimes. Did you see the one? This is such a random thing, but he stole a base one time, and his helmet like went down, and he like looked up like this, but his helmet was, and he just had like,
Am I safe?
he just had like and he was like smiling, and he has like the baby face somehow with a beard, which doesn't make sense. It's
Yeah.
just, I swear to God, he just like is goofy unintentionally, and it's the funniest thing on the planet. But yeah, then going into game 3, Clark Schmidt versus Chris Bubik. Clark Schmidt's first start back. I thought he pitched really well. I don't have the numbers. I think it was like, I think he pitched into the 6th inning, and he only gave up like 2 or 3 runs. I think it was 5 2/3 with 3 earned runs. That's what I think it was. You could fact check me on that. But he pitched incredible. He kind of looked like he ran out a little bit. But then again, if he didn't walk the last guy, I think he really could have finished that 6th inning out, because he was at about 72, 73 pitches. They said the goal was 70, 75. Obviously, early April. This rotation is in shambles outside of one guy. You're not going to push him.
Yeah.
So
You were right, by the way. 5 2/3, 3 runs.
I love this memory. And then it was a 3-3 game going in 7th inning. Aaron Judge hit a solo shot to the other way, make it a 4-3 Yankees game. 4-3 lead that the Yankees did not give up. And that is Aaron Judge's only home run in 14 games. Those last 14 games. Just remember that stat.
Cooked.
Just remember, because I'll talk about that soon. Just remember that stat. Because, yeah. But then, obviously, great series against Royals. Took care of business. Royals are struggling. I was worried, though, because you went up against 3 very good pitchers, and you at least got them out early, all 3 of them, if not hit all 3 of them. So that is the most because say what you want about the Royals offense. They're not a good offense outside of Bobby Witt right now. But I was very impressed of how maybe not lit up those pitchers, but they work the counts. That's the thing that I've been loving seeing about this team, is that they are working the hell out of the counts. Like, what game is it? It's one of the games in the Rays series. I have it down in my notes somewhere, but it was against Boz. He got pulled in like the 3rd inning. They had him at like 60 pitches through 2 innings. Something like that, but yeah. Going into just the game 4, it was Will Warren versus Taj Bradley, 6-3 Yankees win. If you would have told me when this game started, Will Warren doesn't get out of the 2nd inning, I would have said, okay, that's a loss. I'll enjoy the rest of my night. Nuh-uh. First off, it started off awesome. You started off with 3 straight singles. Jesus Christ. Singles from Goldie Rice Judge to make it 1-0. Then you obviously get Will Warren getting pulled. Yarbrough comes in, gets out of the 2nd inning with it being a 1-1 game. Bottom of the 3rd, Junior Caminero makes it a 3-1 game. But then you go on the top of the 5th. Oswaldo Cabrera, solo shot, 3-2. Then Goldie single, Rice double, Judge walk. Goldie force out to make it a 3-3 game. Top of the 6th, Jazz walk, Escara single, Dominguez force out to score a runner, Oswaldo walk, Ben Rice 2 RBI single, 7th inning, Jazz got the ejectocito.
And tweeted immediately after.
Okay, so what happened was it was a 2-2 count, a ball that, or no, it was a 3-1 count. A ball that should have been called a ball was called a strike. Or no, should have been a strike was called a ball to make it a 3. It was 2-2.
Oh my God.
A pitch that was a strike should have been called a strike, but was called a ball. Made it a 3-2 count. And then the next pitch was a clear ball. It was 1 or 2 baseballs below strike zone. Was called a strike. Jazz got called out. Probably a makeup call, which is probably the dumbest thing in sports to me. Oh, you fucked up once, so you fuck up again. It's don't get me started on that. Jazz got really mad at the umpire, really started getting to his face. Then after it, he gets ejected, goes back to the locker room, and tweets. What's your opinion on that whole situation?
It's funny. I forgot. I wish I saved it, but it technically is like outlined that is against the rules. Like you can't go out on social media and like
I
things
forgot
like
to say
talk.
he does have a 1-game suspension that he is appealing right now.
Yeah. I wish I saved it, but it was basically, I'm pretty sure it said you can't talk bad about an umpire or like an MLB official, call it, on social media as a player.
Yeah.
So sure, technically it's against the rules. Is a suspension stupid? I think so. Would a fine be stupid? I also think so, but I would rather him just
Especially
get
with some of the
fined
shit the umpires pulled later in this game. Or
Right.
later in this series.
I would rather the fine than the suspension. Both would still be stupid, but whatever. I get it. It is technically against the rules. Clear cut, whatever. I just think it's funny.
The ejection to me is so stupid because I love Jazz so much. I'm a very big Jazz defender. And I love the energy he plays with. But it was a thing of I was watching this game and I was watching him fight with the umpire. He fought with him for like 15 seconds. I'm like, dude, get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, you made your point. Get out of there before you get ejected. And then he gets ejected and then fights for another, like, minute.
Right.
To where it's a point of, like, yeah, I want you to show that energy. I want you to show that passion. And I don't want you to, like, kind of, not neuter yourself, but, like, hold yourself back. But
Yeah.
that's a little too much, dude.
Yeah. That's always been his problem. Like, I agree on all points. His energy, the flair, the swagger, it's great.
That's
It's
what
great
makes
for the
him
game.
him.
It's entertaining. Exactly. That's what makes Jazz Jazz. But when it comes to arguing, he just doesn't know when to stop.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't know when to cut back. And that's always going to be his issue. But again, I don't blame him entirely because, yes, it was a bad call, but bad calls happen.
Boone was holding him back, too.
Yeah.
Before he got ejected and he was still going.
Right. Yeah. It's
If
just,
Aaron
it's one of
Boone
those
is holding
things.
you back, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's one of those things you just gotta lay off because it's in the same vein of crying over spilt milk. He's not gonna be like, oh, never mind, it's a ball. Like, he called it a strike, it's a strike. You struck out, It sucks, but what are you gonna do about it arguing?
Yeah. I mean, like, you can make your point. You know what I mean? Like, make your
Yeah.
point. But then after
There's
that,
a point to be made, but again, I'm sorry, crybabies, so you gotta make it delicately,
Yeah.
which is an issue in its own thing. But
Whatever. Then, ninth inning, Devin Williams, 1-2-3 inning, close it out. The two storylines, I think. Shut up. The two storylines from this game for me are one, the bullpen got 22 outs while only giving up 2 runs. Incredible. I'm going to talk more about the bullpen later because I'm very I love what this bullpen has been doing, except for one thing. I'll get into that later. But Ben Rice, too. Like, dude, went 4 for 5. You could tell in that last at bat he really wanted to make it 5 for 5. And they were talking on the broadcast, and because they had Todd Frazier on. I love Todd Frazier on the call. Let me just say that because
from New Jersey, that Todd Frazier,
not even because of that, because he just sounds like a kid.
yeah, man.
No, not even like that. In the sense of like, whenever something awesome will happen, he'd be like, "Wow," or like almost like Nick Swisher, like, where like he'll just seem like a kid in a candy store. Where like he's so like, "Oh my god, this is so cool."
Childhood wonder.
It's so I love him. I hope he's on more games. I think he's on for like 10 or 15 games a year or something like that. But he was on for this whole series. I love
pretty
Todd
cool.
Frazier overall. He's just a goat. He's one of those guys that everyone loves. But yeah, that, and because they were talking about how Paul O'Neill, that if he went 4 for 4 and then got out in the last at bat, it would ruin his night.
I'm sure, yeah.
And then Todd Frazier was like, "You're telling me I got 4 hits in the game? Hell yeah!" It's just could not be happier with what we've seen from Ben Rice. I don't want to harp on him too much because what more can we say? I think we're going to talk a lot more about him and Paul Goldschmidt when it comes to when Giancarlo Stanton is nearing getting back.
Yeah.
I think that's more
gonna,
where,
that's gonna be
because I feel so bad for all three of them. Like,
they're all gonna get shafted in some way.
do you? We'll talk about it more when it gets there.
Yeah.
But do you dare, and I mean dare, put Giancarlo Stanton in the outfield?
Nope.
Okay.
Not even a thought. Not even a
Because
thought.
I'm trying to run through
Can't.
ways to like get.
Because then forget about injury, right? Forget about that. Who's he playing over?
Dominguez or Bellinger, probably.
You want him playing over one of them?
No. Not in the outfield.
No.
I'm not saying I do, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying in the sense of I'm trying to think of the ways to map it out, and there's no.
Ben Rice, grab a third baseman's glove. Like that's
Honestly.
like if you want a out of the box idea, that's the only out of the box idea that you can do.
All right, Jazz, you go to third. Ben Rice, you're going to second.
Second,
I mean,
I think second would be harder.
Ben Rice was a catcher. He does have the arm.
That's what I'm saying. Like when catchers and first baseman, like you can kind of translate to the corners, kind of.
Then they got.
It's an option. I genuinely think they should explore. Like
It's
all
probably
jokes aside.
the only option.
Yeah.
Because I just mentioned Stan in the outfield because that's all I could think about.
Yeah,
but
you can't.
I would. There's like a 1% chance of that happening, and I would be like, huh. But yeah, game 5 was Carlos Rodon versus Drew Rasmussen.
Rasputin.
I was literally about to say that. It was a 1-0 win. Carlos Rodon, he went 6 innings. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. 6 scoreless innings. You got like 9 strikeouts, 4 walks, 2 hits. He is the anti of what he was last year. Where you remember he was pitching very well beginning of the year, but all the underlying numbers hated him. This year, 4.34 ERA, 3.27 expected ERA, 4.37 FIP, 3.38 expected FIP. The underlying numbers like him a lot. And Nick, I don't know if you saw his pitch mix. Wasn't perfect, but it was good.
But better.
37% fastball, 37 slider, 15 changeup, 8% sinker, 5% curveball. I really want to see that sinker thrown in more. I really do. I want to see that changeup thrown in more. But better. We're getting there.
If you're gonna go majority fastball, having it tied kind of with the slider, I think is the way to go.
And we also are going a start-by-start basis.
Right.
With the numbers. So, like, one start he may do 40, and then one start maybe 20 with a fastball for God knows whatever reason. But, yeah, it's getting to a better place.
Yes. I mean,
So
just quickly looking at it, every one of his pitches, except the fastball, has a sub 300 expected weighted on base. His fastball has
Diabetes.
Yeah, sorry, I'm beeping. But his fastball has a 424 expected weighted on base.
Yeah, that's
everything
not good
else
at all.
is under 300.
Yeah, it's annoying because
I'm like a sinker, like a primary sinker guy. Let's see how that works.
It's annoying because it's such a fixable issue.
It's pitch mix. It's pitch
like
mix.
it's not
That's
like
all it is.
it's not like he has to add a new pitch. No, you have
just change
3,
up what you're using.
You have 3 very good pitches, and I even would argue if we see the curveball more, it could be good. But the fastball ain't it, boss. But it's regardless. Very, very good to see from him. He started shaky. I think he let like the first 2 guys on, and then struck out the next 3. Yeah, so it was a Diaz walk, Caminero single, then struck out the next 3 guys. When he let those first 2 base runners on, I was like, oh boy, here we go again.
Here we go.
I got to the move. I saw Sinners on Friday during the game. I got there early, and I was watching the game on my phone during previews before the movie started. And when you saw the walk and the single, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. And then strikeout. It's like, okay, all right. But that shocked me. Yeah, the only run was a Paul Goldschmidt single, a Scarra walk, and then Trent Grisham RBI single, 1-0 Yankees. I am taking my victory lap on Trent Grisham. So
You should.
much. I will get more into that later, but because he does more. Shocker. But then game 6 was Carlos Carrasco versus Shane Baz. That was a 10-8 Yankees loss. I'm not even going to really go into the game before the 9th inning. I'm just going to mention Carlos Carrasco's line. 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. If you would have gone 3 earned runs, 4 innings, okay, nope, can't go even. That's my bar. It's bad that that's my bar, but it was 8-4 going into the bottom of the 9th inning. He got 1 out. He got the first runner out. Jose Caballero single, and then a throwing error from Cabrera to make him go to second base. That single had a 200 expected batting average. Ben Rorfed, the 9-hitter, walk. No.
Unacceptable.
Worst case scenario, Ben Rorfed makes it a 2-run game.
Right.
I don't care. Let him make it a 2-run game. He's not going to. He's not going to. I'm telling you, he is not going to. Just throw the ball over the plate. Whatever. Chandler Simpson ground rule double to make it 8-5. 130 expected batting average on that.
Yeah,
Yandy Diaz single, 8-6. 060 expected batting average on it.
Yeah, it was an infield single.
And then Brandon Lau, 2 RBI single to make it 8-8. And then in the 10th inning, Jonathan Aranda, 2-run home run to walk it off Yanders Gomez. It's annoying because because the Brandon Lau hit was a very good hit. It was hit really hard. You cannot walk Ben Rorfed. But that's some insanely bad luck from Devin Williams. Some insanely bad defensive luck.
Yeah, the infield singles is tough. The Chandler Simpson double is kind of I feel like it doesn't tell the whole story when it comes to expected batting average. I think that's a hit. I don't think that's unlucky.
I get what you mean. It was it was a good piece of hitting.
Yeah, it's a hit. I'm not mad. I'm not kind of upset. Oh, bad luck. It's all right. That ball just kept going. Kind of thing.
But an 060 batting average from Yandy Diaz running.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean I think that one, the walk to Wortvet and the infield single is just what kind of kills it.
Yeah. But that's then Yanders Gomez.
Just can't happen. It just can't happen.
It was bad. I like to believe it was because Ben Rice wasn't playing. Because that was a game Ben Rice got hit in. But yeah, overall that was just dog shit.
I don't mean to steal your thunder if you were going to it, but I feel like it's appropriate to talk about it now. Are you worried about Williams at all?
Yes and no. There was a lot of unlucky stuff that happened in that inning. He has shown good stuff in other innings. He always isn't that good in the first month of the season. Give him time. I am more worried about this bullpen as a whole with one thing, which is the walks, which, trust me, I will get into soon. But that's more of what I'm concerned about than him. I think there's some sort of fundamental issue with the way that they're attacking hitters right now. But really quickly, just for the last game, it was Max Fried versus Pepe Oat. 4-0 Yankees win. Lead off Trent Grisham solo shot to make it a 1-0 game. 3rd inning, Oswaldo double, Judge single, Cody Bellinger beat out a double play ball to make it a 2-0 game. 6th inning, Cody Bellinger hits a home run. Fun fact, Cody Bellinger has hit a home run on the last 3 420s.
Because of course he has.
Yeah. But then I don't even know if it's the biggest story of this game because there's 2 of them. But in the top of the 8th inning, Aaron Judge hits a ball. Based off when it happened, I couldn't tell if it was fair or foul. You could tell he really drove into it. They showed the replay. I couldn't really tell. I was like, I could see it going both ways. They called a foul, so they're probably going to say a foul. Then they showed an angle. When they showed this angle, there was no doubt in my mind that ball was a home run. People have pulled up the Google Maps where you could see the baseball land where it lands is in fair territory. So it's not even like a hook shot, and it's fair by a good, like 20 feet? 10, 20 feet, too, by a good bit.
From that picture, it looks like just...
Have you seen the Google Maps picture?
I saw it quickly, so...
With, like, the trees are in relation to the foul pole?
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Where...
So it's just like...
How does MLB fuck this up?
After being reviewed. Like,
after
again,
being reviewed.
Sure, as it happens, whatever, it happens, but you had multiple sets of eyes on this thing.
That's a joke to me.
Yeah.
No one's going to be held accountable for that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Judge ends up getting out. I forget if he grounds out, strikes out, whatever, but then Aaron Boone gets ejected. Good.
I believe he struck out.
Yeah. Good. That's a joke. Like, you can't tell me that ball's not a home run. And if Aaron Judge ends the year with 62 home runs, oh boy. But do you think that we get a little May 4th of last year with the ejection out of Aaron Judge now?
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
That's what I thought about. I'm like,
maybe.
And I'm saying that like Aaron Judge isn't playing well right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, then even more controversy happened in the bottom half of the 8th inning. So Max Fried had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning. Wait, but when he came out for the 8th inning, there was a hit on his line. Because MLB, the scorekeeper for the Rays, went back to the 6th inning and changed an error to a hit. After looking at it, I think that was probably a hit. I think it probably was a hit. Chandler Simpson was running. He's probably the fastest guy in baseball right now. Okay, fair. You can't go back in time and change that when a guy has a no-hitter. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but like if a guy is throwing a no-hitter, you can't go back in time and change that. I don't know how you feel about that, but you can't go back and change that.
Yeah, mid-game is, I think, just completely unacceptable. I don't understand. I don't think I've ever seen that happen mid-game. Or at least it doesn't happen often. But in my mind, it's not perfect reasoning because errors are subjective. But if you get glove, like if it touches glove, I usually just count that as an error.
I will say
you had it at one point.
On that play though, with Simpson running, I don't think Goldie gets him.
I completely get it, but it's just the fact of
in general.
Goldschmidt went to scoop it, and he basically just flung it an extra 20 feet. It's kind of like it's one of those things where it's, how is that not an error?
I get what you mean, yeah.
Right? Like, sure. Is it an error? I don't know, but like, is it not an error? You know what I mean? Like, it sounds kind of dumb saying out loud, but
regardless of the fact, if a guy's throwing no hitter, you should not be able to go back 2 innings to change that.
Yeah.
If he has like 3-4 hits, whatever. It's a score-keeping thing. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But you can't do that, dude.
But
like, that's ridiculous to me.
What if, right? Fried pitched a no-hitter. A couple days from now,
someone's dying.
Then it's changed.
Someone's dying.
Like, it sucks, but I think I'd rather happen now.
Yeah. I don't think MLB would let that happen, though.
Yeah.
I think, no. That's not getting changed, honestly.
Yeah.
I refuse
the other
to believe
thing
that would get
too
changed.
is like, it's about like the feeling of it, like how, like I forget the pitcher's name, but the pitcher on the White Sox that everyone always talks about that should have had the no hitter.
You mean Tigers?
Was it Tigers?
Yeah. And then the umpire messed it up, even though he was clearly out.
It was clearly out. Like everyone knows he threw no hitter, but it's one of those things.
No, it was a perfect game.
Perfect. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
The third out in the 9th inning of a perfect game.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Like if that changes now, nobody cares really.
Yeah.
Like,
Max Fried threw no hitter. Yeah.
Yes, it's kind of like it's for the feeling of in the game. So I don't know. It's just annoying at the end of the day. It's like why are you doing it now?
Even Boone said like, yeah, it was a hit. Like that was a hit, but
Yeah.
like you shouldn't be able to go back and change that.
Right.
So regardless, I also forgot to bring up the Judge quote. Did you see that?
About the home run?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So he said it was a fair ball. It's just tough in a situation like this in a minor league park where the foul poles aren't that high. They missed it, and we've just got to move on. That is Aaron Judge saying, I'm going to murder everyone involved.
Yeah, he's pissed.
That is Aaron Judge's way of saying I hate every single one of you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
But
All you motherfuckers are stupid.
yeah. Then ninth inning, Austin Wells solo shot, and then Fernando Cruz, he's in for the close. Yeah, I know, seriously. Fernando Cruz, he's closing out. Walk, strikeout, double play. Since I just mentioned the walk, strikeout, double play, that brings me into my discussion on the bullpen. I love a lot of what this bullpen has done. So they've had 10 straight games. You've had multiple games where starters have just left early. Where you have the Will Warren start, the Carlos Carrasco start, or the Marcus Stroman start. Over that span, 2.65 ERA with the second most innings pitched in that 10-game span. They have done a phenomenal... Now, everything else is just going to be overall for the year. They've done a phenomenal job in limiting soft contact. They're the best in baseball in soft contact. And they're 29th when you include the starters. So, oh wait, no, that's for the wrong thing. Sorry, my notes got bungled. Interesting enough, though, they're 28th in baseball in fastball velo. And only what'd you say?
That's a little bit of a surprise.
At 92.9 on average. And then when you add in the starters, they're 29th in baseball in average fastball velo. But when you think about it, they have a lot of guys like Tim Hill. Luke Weaver doesn't have the velo so far. You also have Mark Leiter. He's not a velo guy. Ryan Yarbrough. So they do have a lot of guys that don't have that much velo. So
got a lot of funk.
Yeah, definitely got a lot of funk.
Hard stuff.
And interesting enough, they're also first in strikeout per 9 in baseball at 11.21.
So interesting. See, kids, velocity isn't everything.
But the issue, and this is my biggest issue with the pen, and it pisses me off to no end. And it's ridiculous to me that it's only 6th worst. They're 6th worst in walk per 9 at 4.79. The issue is that they'll have a 4-run lead and they'll walk the first guy. I don't care. I really don't care if the guy hits a solo home run off you. And even Boone has said, yeah, we're walking too many guys when we come out of the bullpen. I do not care. When you are up multiple runs in a game, you cannot walk the first guy. You just can't do that. If he hits a solo home run, cool. I don't give a shit. Don't let them start that rally and build them with them. Yeah. If he's going to beat you, he's going to beat you. You're not going to beat yourself. Yeah. Especially, okay, you got to nibble the corners, whatever. Clearly, your stuff is good because you're first in strikeouts per 9. The walks are getting too ridiculous, though. That's the biggest issue I have with this bullpen, and that's really what's holding this bullpen back because there's been multiple games where they've lost because of it. Mm-hmm. And just...
Yeah, I mean, we've said it all the time, you can't walk guys if you're not going to strike out guys, right?
They're striking the guys out, but...
Right. It's just... It just leaves so much room for shit to happen. I mean, that was the Clay Holmes issue, right? He's a ground ball guy. He walks a guy, ground ball finds a hole. Oh shit, it's first and third, no outs.
That too, when you're the best in baseball and they have the highest rate of soft contact in baseball. They're getting a lot of ground balls. So when you have a lot of base runners, that can happen.
Yeah, it opens up the door for shit to go wrong. And then, you topple that with guys like Oswaldo Cabrera, who lately have been making errors.
Makes no sense, but...
It just opens the door for shit to happen.
Yeah. It's... Overall, I really like the bullpen, but it scares me a bit.
Yeah.
You got a lot of guys coming back, so that'll be interesting to see what they are, but I really just need to see these guys get better control. They've played in cold weather, whatever, but it wasn't cold in Tampa. And they had the same issues in Tampa. So...
Yeah, it's not a weather thing.
Yeah, figure that shit out. I get very annoyed with how they're playing Jason Dominguez in the outfield. I don't know about you, but going into Game 1 against the Royals, he had some incredible plays. That was the game where he made the 2 or 3 really nice plays. Got pulled in the 8th inning for Cody Bellinger, who I don't like when they pinch hit Cody Bellinger the last couple of days. That may sound weird, but if he's been dealing with a cranky back and he has a 13 game, you have a 13 straight game stretch, and you're saying that you want to pick and choose when you play him because you want to give him days off, why are you pinch hitting him? Or why are you putting him in as a defensive replacement?
Right.
Give him the full day off. When you have a 3-4 run lead, just give him the full day off. But that's besides the point.
That's fair.
Game 2, he was pulled in the 7th inning for quote unquote losing his contact. I don't know if I believe it or not. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because on the Royals broadcast, you do see him putting in eye drops. And Trent Grisham was like a little late putting whatever. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on that one. Game 3, left him in. Game 4, pulled in the 8th inning. Game 5, didn't play. Game 6, pulled in the 8th inning. Game 7, quite literally could not pull him because there was no one else that you could put in the game. I don't like it, dude. Like, if you're telling me that this guy is your left fielder of the future, why are we pulling him in April?
That's fair. My only pushback on that is he's playing, call it 7 innings. If 3 innings a game, 2 innings a game is ruining his development, I think there's another issue. There's more.
I get what you mean.
There's a
but
bigger problem.
I see it more in the sense of, I'm going to use a working out analogy. How when you work out, really those last 2-3 reps are the most important. In a game, typically those last 2-3 innings are the most high pressure innings. I want him being in those high pressure innings, so that way when the left fielder of the future has to be in those innings in October, he at least has some high pressure innings under his belt. Or a big game and call it August, September, I want him to be able to play that entire game because of how good we know his bat is. So it's more of, why are you not giving him those high pressure innings to at least, because also, I don't know if you know this, Nick, but if you get confident in high pressure innings, low pressure innings are going to come a lot easier. So his defense, it's going to be a trickle down effect of his defense just getting better overall.
No.
So
all fair.
It's more of the pressure, and I guess you could say weight of the innings rather than just the number of innings.
Yeah. No, I completely get what you mean, and yeah, I don't know. It's definitely weird. I think it's definitely, I don't know, it's tough because, and look, I'm not trying to compare the two as players, but you saw like Mark Vientos get pulled a lot.
Yeah.
You know, his defense is, I think he grades out as or he's known as more of a worse defender than Dominguez is in the outfield. But at the end of the day, they're still getting pulled in late innings. So like, I don't know, like in my mind, I don't think it's a huge deal. I get where you're coming from, and I completely understand your reasoning. But at the end of the day, I truly don't think it's like that big of an issue.
It's just the way that you hype this guy up. You hype this guy up to be the future of your franchise. I don't want the future of my franchise. I want him getting his, because not that I want to rush Dominguez, but I want him to experience everything. I want to experience the hills and the valleys with Jason Dominguez. I want him to get as much playing time and as much high leverage that you can get for him. That's why, like, when rookies, when they play in the playoffs, I like that because they may struggle, but you at least know for the rest of their career, when they were a rookie, they played in the playoffs, so they're going to have that experience for the rest of their career. They're going to have, like, that leverage and all that, but...
Yeah.
Anyways, the last two guys I kind of want to talk about is Paul Goldschmidt is having maybe... I never would have expected Paul Goldschmidt to have this. I had a feeling Paul Goldschmidt was going to have a good year, but this is not what I expected. In the sense of, he has the most multi-hit games in baseball. He, I believe, leads the league in singles, where he has a 156 WRC plus. He is hitting 367, 414 on base, 468 slugging. He only has 1 home run on the season. I believe he has 5 doubles. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot of like kind of very contact. It's very slap hitter approach.
Yeah,
Like,
he's hitting
even
it.
if you,
It's
Yeah,
he
go
may
ahead.
not have like the best hard hit rates, the highest barrel rates, but if you watch every single one of his at bats, every single hit, he's intentionally doing it. He's
Yeah.
intentionally looping it over the infielders. It's not like it's a thing like, oh, he's meaning to do exactly what he's doing. It's a professional hitter being a professional hitter.
to your point, he's below average in average exit velocity, barrel percentage, hard hit rate,
Yeah.
but launch angle sweet spot, 92nd percentile. Squared up rate, 78th percentile.
Like even you, for the at bats and the hits that you have seen him have with runners in scoring position, for like posting like the tweets and all that, you could tell that's intentional.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You 100%, like that is what he meant to do. It wasn't just like a blooper that got down.
It is a approach change.
Yeah.
Like it's completely intentional. It's a very Luis Arias like kind of a model. Because you look at I'm looking at Arias' 2024 just for the sake of full season. Launch angle sweet spot among the best. Squared up rate among the best. Hard hit rate, all that, all among the worst. Like this is a very contact hittery, slap hittery approach, and it's working.
Yeah. And
And
I
it kind
think
of makes more sense why he's hitting leadoff so much because he's hitting so many singles. He's getting on base.
And I hated the I can't even speak now. The thing that concerned me the most about Paul Goldschmidt was like the whiff and the chase rates, all that like going down. You're like, oh my God, he's selling out for power. But if he's going to be this, that's great. Because he's a guy that I don't know if you've seen him, but he is absolutely yoked. He will run into a couple of home runs when he drives the ball.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
There's a much bigger conversation to be had about the righties in the lineup and them just not really having much righties in this lineup. And that's why like you need Stanton back, but you can't take out Ben Rice or Paul Goldschmidt right now.
Right.
So that's more a talk for another day, but I've said multiple times, I don't want to talk about Aaron Judge because we could have podcasts where all we do is talk about Aaron Judge. I think we need to talk about Aaron Judge right now because I mentioned that he only has one home run in his last 14 games. Do you know what his WRC plus is? Well, only having one home run in 14 games?
I'm sure it's still over 200.
208 with one home run. He's hitting, where is it? He's hitting 408 with a 532 on base and a 510 slugging. 17.7% walk rate, 12.9 strikeout rate. Now,
Insane.
I told you, I saw a tweet that's narrative spewing. I may be a little sacrilegious when I say this. I may say something sacrilegious.
Oh boy.
So let's take Barry Bonds' best season, 143 games in 2022. Or 2022. 2002. You take Aaron Judge, and this was as of a day or two ago, so it's not updated. Aaron Judge's last 144 games, right? Do you know who has the higher WRC plus?
Aaron Judge.
Do you know what's the higher F4?
Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is better than Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds 244, Aaron Judge 250 for WRC plus, 12.7 WAR for Bonds, 12.8 for Judge. So the WAR is negligible. To be at a point where your numbers are negligible with how close they are to Barry Bonds is insane. Bonds' numbers were better, obviously because steroid era. So the league averages are going to be higher because it's a lot harder to hit right now than it was when Bonds played. But the fact that they're even a tick better than Barry Bonds is just showing how legit of an insanity run Aaron Judge is on.
Yeah. If you cannot take bias out of it and truly appreciate what Aaron Judge is doing, you're missing out.
It's silly
You're
saying this stuff.
missing out.
It's silly saying how these numbers are because they don't seem real.
Like Aaron Judge, is going to be talked about for years.
Dude, I'm telling my kids about the 3 home run game that I went to of Aaron Judge and that how he was 2 feet away from having a 4 home run game.
Yeah, and for me, I'm going to talk about how he dropped a fly ball in the World Series.
Sugma, Ligma,
But no,
Goblin.
All jokes aside, this is quite possibly the best baseball player we are ever going to see.
Yeah.
In our lifetime. It's between him and Ohtani. Pick and choose, whatever. It's absolutely insane. And again, if you cannot put your bias aside and truly appreciate what he's doing, you're missing out.
No. And even then, people want to say this, that about Ohtani. Ohtani hasn't touched a baseball since 2023. So technically, because he doesn't play the field, he has quite literally not touched a baseball on a major league level since 2023.
Yeah, the whole narrative of this, I don't want to get like too off track, but the whole narrative of Otani can change very quickly depending on how he comes back from the
Oh,
surgery.
yeah. Oh, yeah. But
Again,
you just...
that's going to come with time.
Aaron Judge only 1 home run in his last 2 weeks. He's still, I think, second in home runs in Major League Baseball while having a home run taken away from him, which was the most clear and obvious home run of all time. Because Aaron Judge, the issue with him earlier in his career was he would strike out. The average wouldn't be that high. My brother is hitting 400 in his last 2 weeks with a 530 on base.
He's already at 2 WAR.
Dude, it's
It hasn't been a month.
crazy.
Save
Like,
some for the rest of us.
That's why I don't talk much about him because yeah, it's Aaron Judge. But every once in a
We
while
know.
we have to talk about it because of how it's because I'm even getting a little Aaron Judge fatigue. Where it's just like, yeah, he's awesome. And then like you
What
have to
about it?
literally take a step back to be like, no, he is quite literally
Damn.
having one of the best runs of all time.
Yeah.
Every day he's having stats that are being put in the conversation of Mantle, Maris, Ruth, and it's insane, dude. I'm literally at a loss for words looking at the
Yeah.
numbers that he's putting up. And oh, we didn't even mention it because it happened on Monday. Aaron Judge will be the captain of the 2026 WBC team.
Yes.
Captain America.
Sick.
That whole video was awesome too. Mike Trout saying like, yeah, like that's the guy. He would have played last
Yeah.
year, but this is another phenomenal Aaron Judge thing. He would have played last time, but it was 2023. He just signed the contract and became the captain. So he said, no, like I want to be with the team in spring training because I just became the captain.
Super cool.
That too. Name a guy that says the right thing more often than Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Like literally,
His media training is...
say what you want about the Juan Soto comments. Aaron Judge handled that like a professional. They've been trying to bait him all off season into saying something. He's like, I'll leave it at this. Pete Alonso's having a phenomenal year.
Yeah. He's so tired of it. It's so funny.
And even the
He
thing
cannot
earlier
move
about
on.
how he said like, yeah, I hit a home run, but I just gotta move on. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But Aaron Judge is awesome. That's it. That's it. But then getting into the look ahead really quickly because I'm rambling. I'm frambling. You got 3 games against Cleveland. You got Clark Schmidt versus Gavin Williams, Will Warren versus Tanner Beebe, Carlos Rodon versus Luis Ortiz. Then you got an off day. You got 3 games at the Bronx versus Toronto, Carlos Carrasco versus insert, Max Fried versus insert, Clark Schmidt versus insert. Very quickly, go 4-2. That's what I'm looking for. Go 4-2. I'm happy. In a really quick, just recap. If you would have told me before the week started, the Yankees are going to go 6-1 in this week. The only game you're going to lose is the Carlos Carrasco game versus Shane Baz. Okay, sign me up any day of the week. Every single day of the week, you will take that. Because Shane Baz is one of the most disgusting pitchers I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You are A-okay with that. Obviously, the way it happened sucks so much. Not going to deny that at all. But you went 6-1 this week against a Rays team that is ripping the cover off the ball. And outside of one game, you let up... Yeah. If you take out the third game, you only let up 3 runs. So...
I mean, hey. It's still good.
Yeah. But that's all I got. Unless you had anything else, Mr. O'Brien?
Yeah, I think the Toronto series is going to be interesting. They're a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Second AL East team they're playing this year.
Yeah,
Finally.
but the
Orioles
Guardians
look like dog shit too,
series-
but
Yeah, I mean
their
fucking
pitching is horrific. And Grayson Rodriguez may get
Yeah.
surgery.
Yeah, he's already set back. It's horrible. But no, I think Toronto series should be interesting. Guardian series should be a little bit of a taking care of business type of thing.
Mhm.
Gavin Williams has not been good so far. Luis Ortiz has been middling at best. Tanner Bybee is probably like the one you're kind of circling a little. But yeah, just again, a little bit of taking care of business in Cleveland. But
Got a 2
Toronto
Clark
should be
Schmidt
fun.
start week, so that's gonna be
there
fun.
you go. We'll see how he fares.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really all I had. So with that being said, if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Leave us a comment. Like I said, subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, follow the podcast there so you never miss an episode there. Leave us a rating, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. Follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, said that, Facebook. That's everything.
Outros
Twitter.
are tough, man.
Outros are tough, but follow us everywhere so you never miss an episode. We're going to be here every week for you guys, recapping, talking, all that good stuff. But thank you guys again, and we'll see you next week.